Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, our beautiful country, and how we're going to fix both of them together. The content that I'm about to show you is a Democrat official, one of the high-ranking guys. His name's Andrew Yang. He just went thermonuclear on the Democrats. He left no rock unturned. In fact, he didn't just nuke the planet of Earth where the Democrats are on. He nuked the entire solar system. This is no holds barred. You're going to love every second of it, so make sure you send to the nearest freedom-loving friend that you have. Links in the description box below, along with the timestamps for the video. This is going to be one for the memory books, of course. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on if you want to spread this freedom from coast to coast and border to border, and thank you for jumping on that train, because it is leaving the station. All right, beautiful people, listen. We are going to dive into this video right here, and as you can see, even the title, Andrew Yang goes off on Democrats after landslide loss. There's not a lot of ways you can soft coat that one for Democrats. But what he's about to say, and again, the timestamps are in the description box, he is going to just, I mean, literally cannons from orbit. Just bam, bam, bam. It's going to be fantastic. You're going to love every second of it. But before we play that, make sure you guys don't miss out on the 10% discount, the Black November sale we've got going on for all of our merch. You know, for that person in your family who you can't quite find that Christmas gift for, boom, 10% off all of our merch. The greatest hits we've had. These are all limited time designs. They'll be gone again at the end of November. Freedom only lasts if you can defend it. The Kamikaze Kamala shirt. The No One Likes a Glock block. We have the Liberty versus Tyranny shirt. Restraining the rights of the legal. Enhances the power of the criminal. All of it. 10% off with the code 45-47. And if you guys go over 50 bucks on your order, you get free shipping. I mean, like I said in the earlier videos, it's freedom on savings on greatness. Let's get it. Let's go. All right, ends at the end of November. And now let's get back to this. Make sure you use that code with the link in the description. So what we're about to hit right here, guys, is Andrew Yang. Now, Andrew Yang is holding nothing back, and I've got the timestamps. We're going to start right at the beginning. Listen to this, and let me hear you in the comments, because this is glorious.
By the one and only Andrew Yang, man who scarcely needs an introduction, but for those who are not in the know, of course, yeah, former presidential candidate, of course, co-chair of the Forward Party. It's always great to see you, Andrew.
Good to see you, man.
It's great to be here. Wish it was under different circumstances. I take it we're going to be debriefing the Trump landslide.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're one of those people who's in a position to say, hey, I told you so, because you got behind Dean Phillips, who was out there saying, listen, guys, Biden is too old. Like, it doesn't have to be me. Just do something other than Joe Biden. How critical do you think it was that Biden stayed in the race for as long as he did?
Joe Biden essentially delivered the White House back to Donald Trump by not getting out of the way in January, and full credit to Dean for risking his career. The Dems, in true Demi fashion, decided to malign him, primary him, get him out of the picture because they were more offended that someone was actually cutting the line than making the right case for the country. He was correct then. Joe Biden ends up dropping out less than 6 months later. And it was a train wreck. If they'd had a primary in January, you could have seen a very, very competitive ticket emerge. Let's call it Josh Shapiro and Gretchen Whitmer. You then have two of the three crucial swing states probably in your column. You win Wisconsin and you win the whole thing, but we'll never know because instead it was Joe all the way. And if you can sense some emotion in my voice, we should all be ticked off, particularly Dean Phillips, because Dean Phillips was right all along.
All right, so hold on a second. You understand what's happening right now, guys? The blame game was started last week after Trump demolished him in a landslide victory. By the way, congratulations, you guys did that. So all of the 5 stages of grief that you've induced, just enjoy the fruits of your labor. But quite literally, blaming Biden and blaming the Democrat higher-ups. He's not blaming policy. He's not blaming anything other than the people who made it I'm going to nominate and make this person a king, basically picking and choosing who's going to be exalted over the others. He is going ham, and he lays it right at Biden's feet, which is growing, by the way, in the Democratic Party. Guys, fruits of our labor. Let's keep going. He's just now getting off. Oh, man.
Let me ask you just a little bit more about that, Andrew, because, you know, there's been reporting that came out after Biden had that disastrous debate that was like, yeah, donors had seen this was really not good. He had some meeting with congressional leaders like a long time ago where he couldn't finish his sentences. Nancy Pelosi had to jump in. And then they just stopped having those meetings altogether. So this had all happened before Dean jumped in and was saying, guys, come on, I'm pulling the alarm bell. Like, you have to do something. So I just want to know behind the scenes, like, What was going on? Were they in denial? They just thought that they could cover it up? What was the thought process behind the scenes, to the best of your knowledge?
All right, so before we continue, I have to illustrate how important this is. This anchor is laying out all very negative scenarios. Now, she's not a Republican. She's not a conservative, right? She's laying out very heavy, very bad Democrat opportunities for explanation. None of these are, did we just mix the messaging? Did we just do this? Did we just do that? Was it something that we could have adjusted? No, it's, was there malfeasance? Was there a cover-up? Was Biden aware? Donors were aware. Who didn't know? Guys, this is about to go Game of Thrones. All right, let's keep going.
Oh, yeah, it was common knowledge. And there were people saying to Dean, I agree with you. I'm glad you're doing this. But then they would be mum in public. And the truth is that the rank and file Dem office holder cared more about their place in the totem pole than whether the party was on track to win in November. That's the disease of this current system, is that, look, you know, I've got my career progression. I've got my entire jam. What happens to the country? What happens to the people, families, communities? A distant secondary or tertiary consideration.
That is.
I think he's actually correct on that last part. But understand what he just said. It was common knowledge. Everyone knew that Biden was completely short-circuited. Everyone knew, and yet they were still pushing Joe Biden. The Democrats have something to answer for, and that's why Andrew Yang's obviously clearly pissed. But there's an interesting point about this, and he just said something really intriguing. It's about where my career path is and what's going on in the Democratic Party and where I am in the hierarchy versus the actual country. To be quite candid, that's in both parties. Now, there was a little bit less in the Republican Party because what effectively has shaken out is a little bit more of a meritocracy versus a hierarchy, which is the Democrat kind of tact. But he's not pulling any punches, guys. He's laying it at Biden's feet and the Democrat leaders. And he hadn't even gotten into, I don't think he's going to in this interview, how they knew the entire time that it wasn't going to be an open primary. Yeah, watch this. The Kamala Nation didn't work out too well.
Absolutely devastating.
That is really, Andrew, I wanted to talk to you more about this loss and kind of where things go from here. What is your what is your theory of some of the different ways that the Democrats got it wrong?
You know, I was joking that instead of calling themselves the Democrats, they should start calling themselves the selectors. Because if you'd actually had a real competitive primary, you're not in this mess. They still even had a chance to have a hurried primary when Joe dropped out in July. And instead, it was just the elevation of Kamala. I made a list of recommendations for the Democratic Party in Politico a few days ago that I say in the piece they will totally ignore these. One of them is to make Dean Phillips the chair of the DNC as the only person who had the integrity to stake his career on what was right for the country. Another is apologize to Bernie Sanders for sandbagging him in 2016. In my opinion, if Bernie's the nominee, then Trump never becomes president in 2016. So there are a bunch of things that you'd hope that they would take from this, but you don't actually have any optimism that they will. Because the dynamic I described before is that there are now various people jockeying to be the party's nominee in 28. And again, it's about them and their place in the party and not necessarily preventing this loss. You know, I mean, it was a landslide loss that, as my friend Dean Phillips said, was both predictable and preventable.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So I just want to set up Cape on something he just said that is kind of like verboten in Democrat circles. He just said Bernie Sanders would have beaten out Hillary Clinton if they didn't manipulate it because she was the chosen candidate. You know, is that striking like a memory for any of y'all? I don't know, something that happened like a week and a half ago where Hillary Clinton was selected over Bernie Sanders. The party of democracy selected the person who they wanted and who was her time versus the person that people voted for. And then when that didn't work out and she lost to Trump, they did it again with Kamala Harris by not having an open primary because, you know, the party of democracy just told you who you were going to have without a vote or anything. You guys picking up the themes here? They have some very large problems brewing. Just saying. And the best way possible to wrap this episode up where Andrew Yang is just completely just nuking these people, this one starts at 6:15. Let's get it. Listen to this.
Everyone now knows that he did the right thing. But that's unusual in American politics. We have a system that rewards cowardice and conformity and careerism and will punish courage. And that's one reason we're in this mess.
Yeah, and Andrew.
We have a system that punishes courage and does not help on anything for the actual country itself. Does that resonate with any of you guys? I don't know. I thought a lot of it really is him being pissed at the Democrats, but there's also little truth kernels in there. I don't know. What you guys think? Let me know what you think in the comments below. See you on the next one. I'm Braden. Better.